Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Christel Crawford Show. I'm your host, Christel Crawford. Oh, how does it get better than today? I'm so thrilled to be alive, and I'm so thrilled to be a facilitator of consciousness, and I'm so thrilled that you're here. This week's episode is called Discovering What You Want Your Life to Be. And I have so many things that I want to talk to you about this. And so we will just dive in. I, of course, didn't prepare like an outline or anything, but I just finished facilitating a foundation class, and this conversation came up a lot in this class. Actually, every foundation class is so different. Your questions create the class. We do have a manual, but what you want to know about really generates a lot of the conversations that we have, and then we weave in all the really fundamentals that you need to have in order for your life to really work. Hey, you guys. Hi, Marina. Hi, Lene. So if you're watching in the future, hashtag me. Hi, Mona. And so we had a lot of conversations about creating your life, generating your life. And this was a conversation that I was introduced to with Access. Nobody ever talked to me in my life about creating my life before. I just survived and coped with my life, Hi, Karen. So I had to learn this. And so it's something that I'm pretty excited about passing on to you guys, and sharing how I've been doing this, the tools that I've been using, and inviting you into a further exploration of this for you. Next week, we're going to start a 30 by 30. It is something I've called the Core Awareness Challenge. If you go to theawarennesschallenge.com, you can subscribe for that version of it. But if you hang out for a week, I retitled it Discovering What You Want Your Life to Be Like. And it's a one access consciousness clearing that we do 30 times a day for 30 days. And it goes like this. What would it take for you to be willing to live the energy of what you would like your life to be, so that it can show up for you in totality, and everything that doesn't allow it, and all the thoughts, feelings, emotions, and no sex I'm using to absolutely refuse and reject my life and the energy I'd like my life to be, I destroy it and create all that. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And that particular clearing, we're going to do it all together in a week. It comes from the book Right Riches for You. And Right Riches for You is a book by Gary Douglas and Dane Here that is one of the best conversations about generating your life that I've ever read in my whole life. And so that clearing comes at the end of a section called Generating Your Life. How do you do that, right? And I'm not going to read all of this to you, but grab the book, first of all, because it's a study in generation. And second of all, study this section. Gary Douglas talks about how he got to a point in his life where he'd really kind of done it all. Like, he'd been married, he'd been divorced, he'd been married again, and I think then divorced. He'd had really successful businesses, and he'd gone down to no money. And so he was kind of looking at it going, I shaved my legs for this. That's all there is. And he's like, it was crazy because we're all so psychic. And he's like, I knew what my wife wanted, and I knew what my kids wanted, but what I wanted as my life, not so much. And so he started to look at, he goes, well, what would I want my life to look like? Now, this is one of the key questions you do have to start to look at. It's like, what do I want my life to look like? And I think I've probably talked about this over the last 4 years that I've been doing this show in so many different ways. And if you guys have been following me for any length of time, you've seen my life look so different all the time. Like, I moved from being in a huge house in Vancouver to going on the road, to living with my friend for a while, to shacking up with somebody else, to like moving down to the States. And then I moved back up to Canada. And, there was just been so many different, and I've then traveled the world in between all of that. And because I really personally needed a lot more information about what I wanted my life to look like. So that might be like key number one out of this conversation. Of course, I'm going to lose track, but key number one would be, maybe key number one is really do that 30 by 30, because that starts to give you a real sense of it. But key number two would be, get that you may or may not need to go do some exploring in order to have more information in your world about what you'd like your life to look like. Now, a lot of us have, I know some of you that have really explored, like traveled and dated and all the things. But a lot of us haven't. You know, when I first came into Access Consciousness, I had a pretty narrow reality. I had been married a couple of times, so that was different than some people. And I had done a lot of different jobs within the scope of like my profession at the time, which was hospitality. But it was still pretty narrow. Like I hadn't dated a lot. I hadn't traveled almost at all. Like I didn't have a lot of exposure to a lot of different things. And I was so grateful for what I chose with traveling to all these access classes, because that really did like start exposing me to this whole universe of so many things, people, cultures, languages, foods, you know, habits. Just traveling itself gave me exposure to all these different qualities in myself. And, you know, not needing a super solid place on which to land gave me a lot of awareness. So there was a lot in that I got. But I think that's the key number 2 is like your reality may need some shaking up. You may need to go out and like start choosing some stuff to get more information to really know what you'd like your life to look like, right? I'm in the process right now of I'm looking at this wall. You can't see it, but this wall is sort of like one of my new babies in the house, because I'm really making this office into a place where I love to be. And in order to create this, I had to go looking. I had to go looking, like, what do I even like? You know, what draws my eye? What's fun for me? I had sort of managed to create enough of a backdrop that when I'm on video, it looks good. But then I'd walk into this room and I was like, it was just okay. So I had to go shopping, and not just energy. The first thing I had to do was go shopping for the looks that I liked, right? And this is something you have to do in all of your life. You have to go looking for like, what do I actually like? Because for me, I'd spent most of my life like surviving other people's choices. I hadn't spent a lot of my life looking at what I really wanted to choose. Now that could be flip-flopped for some of you. I get it. But that's where I started. So if that may be where you're starting, you may need to go looking for what you like. So for me, for the office, I like created a Pinterest board and, you know, just started flipping through like cozy feminine offices and like pinning things. And then I did a step 2 with that, which is I pinned some stuff. But instead of going into like the utopian ideal of that picture and like I have to have that particular photo in this room, I went into each photo and I looked at, okay, now what are the elements of this photo that I like? Because here's one of the things that I've learned about discovering what you want your reality to be like, is that there's the what's on the surface of things. So, right, like there's that person's haircut and that color on the wall and that, I don't even know. There's the surface of things, right? The makeup that someone wears or whatever. But in that thing that you admire and appreciate, there are also the energies. And I had to move. So first I had to go start looking for what I wanted visually. It's like, what am I even attracted to? Because I'd never really done that. Second of all, I had to start looking underneath what I was visually attracted to what are the energies. So I'll give you a good example. Okay, this water bottle. Now, I don't know when I bought this. 8 months ago? If you guys aren't watching the video, I have my Contigo water bottle in my hand. It is purple-ish. It's like this graduated purple thing, and it's kind of mechanical at the top. Anyway, I became aware that I wanted to have a water bottle with me at all times in the house, because what was happening is I was putting water into a very, very beautiful glass and I was spilling it everywhere. So I was like, I need just like a water bottle. Now this is going to seem like a stupid, simple example, but it's going to give you a hit of how you can start to apply this in your life. So I didn't know there's so many different water bottles, we were buying plastic water bottles and whatever. There's so much choice, right? Same as your life. So much choice. You can do anything. You can have any kind of water bottle you want. What would you choose? So I had to go like energy shopping for this water bottle. I had to go so I went to Walmart. I think I was just at Walmart for something. Walked into the water bottle aisle and I was like, oh my God, so many water bottles. I need one of these. And then as I started to look at each one, I realized, how do you choose? I realized I needed to look at what I needed from a water bottle. What do I want my life to look like, right? And that's so but it was cool because as I started realizing I needed to know that, the information started coming to me. So that's what happens as you start to look at what you want to have as your life, the information starts to show up. So I looked at all the different choices in front of me. Again, this is your life. And I was like, wow, there's all these different kinds, and some of them are screw lids, and some of them are flip tops, and all the different things. And so I was like, well, what are my choices? So when I found this one, I was like, oh, this is good. This is basically an adult sippy cup. Like it locks, it closes. When I tip it over, it doesn't spill. It started to address some of those things in my life that were like, I wasn't handling with just a glass of water. And then I realized that there were all these different colors and things. So I started looking at the energy of the color that they were and asked my body what color it preferred. And so out of that came this like stainless, so it wasn't, I didn't make it about the price, and I didn't make it about what I could or couldn't do. And I didn't even limit myself to what was there at Walmart. I just sort of looked and I was like, are any of these what I'm looking for in a water bottle? And as I started to get more clear on what each one did, then I came away with this. Now this thing goes with me everywhere in the house. It is one of my favorite pieces and articles of things ever. And it contributes this energy of care for me that I didn't have before in what I was choosing. And that's what starts to occur as you start adding to your life these things that you've really gotten present with and chosen. They will start to contribute these kind of unexplainable benefits to your life that a water bottle shouldn't necessarily provide, right? If I had just picked up any old water bottle, then that would have been one energy. But I actually took the time to look at what's going to actually really work for me and what's going to be beautiful and what's going to add to my life. And that's what I've been doing personally with everything in my life. With the office, I was like, what's already here? So this is how you generate something different. What's already here? I've got a wall and I've got a window off center in that wall. And that's my one source of light. So I know a few things. Like I know that I want to have a light source that's natural for video. And I do a lot of video, which means it would be easier if my desk was like up against the window. I know that on that wall, I've got it's off-centered window. I know that I already have this really beautiful wood slab desk. All right, what can I create? And then started looking at different things. Now, I wasn't just looking at the visual of it. I was also looking at let's say I have a Pinterest photo. When in that Pinterest photo, they do this deep gray wall, and it's also got a white desk and these white flowers over here. I would pull the photo apart and go, what is it about this photo that's like getting me? Like, what is it about that? And so I would notice that when they put the thing like this and they put the desk like this and the different colors as they like juxtaposed against each other, it created an energy. I also noticed that most of the photos that I was attracted to had very tall ceilings. And I was like, oh, it's a very different energy with tall ceilings than it is with short ceilings. And this is what you have to do in order to really curate your life, is you have to start to look at what is energetically all around me, and then go, what would I actually like to have? And that's the conversation, like at every 10 seconds, like almost all the time. Because I think what a lot of us try to do is we try to get a specific picture of what we want our life to be like. And the reason that doesn't work is because then you have to use all your energy and all your control to try to make that specific picture come to life. The thing about the life you want to create is that you have no idea what the words are for that. There is no words for the life you want to create. There is only an energy. And it's not just one energy, it's like a series of energies. So if you go after trying to get clear, which is the phrase a lot of us use that actually fucks us out of choice, if you try to get clear on what you want, then you're never gonna start living, because you're always going to be waiting until you're clear, which is rightness instead of choice. But what can occur is you can start to enhance and expand and strengthen your energetic vocabulary, meaning this water bottle has a different energy than this vlogging microphone. This energy is one thing, this energy is another thing. How do I know? because I'm perceiving the energy in each one. And I'm like, okay. But one of the energies they share is they both take care of me. And as I look around on my desk, for example, earbuds take care of me. My wired earbuds take care of me. My Kindle that I invested in takes care of me. My phones take care of me. My ring light takes care of me. There's starting to be a theme of the energies that are the energy of life and living for me. One of them is definitely that everything take care of me energetically. If it doesn't take care of me, it doesn't belong in my life anymore. So that's interesting. Now, am I going to be as well taken care of? So we just recently, and we'll probably do a vlog about it, oneness. Yeah. We just yesterday, we received a shipment of 2 bathrobes that I bought from the W Hotel store. Now, they were not cheap, and they were not cheap to import because the W Hotel only has a store in the United States, and I live in Canada now. So these were like $5 million robes, exaggeration, but they weren't cheap. And I just knew that they were the energy that I wanted to have when I put my body in a bathrobe. Now, up to yesterday, Andreas had been wearing this like silky black thing that he bought off. It was some cheap little silky black that he'd had since we were together. And we had purchased for me a white robe from this other store, but it was starting to get a hole back here. And our robe reality was just kind of shabby. They weren't taking care of us. They were disintegrating. They were devolving in front of our eyes. And so I think he brought it up. He's like, yeah, if you ever see a good bathrobe for me, will you pick it up? And I was like, oh, now's the time. Now's the time to have that decadent hotel white bathrobe experience every single time we get out of the shower. And they came yesterday, and I put my body in that robe, and like everything got greater. And that's the thing that happens when you start to really become willing to live the energy of what you'd like your life to be. You start paying attention to what a thing contributes or what it doesn't contribute. If you walked into your closet right now, what awareness would you have about what's there? When I walk into my closet, there is much more now than there ever has been, clothes that take care of me. But there's also a lot of clothes that I bought when I was that person, or that whatever, or in that frame of mind, or coming from that proving place, or whatever. There aren't necessarily a lot of clothes in my closet anymore that I just love to wear. So last week I made a different demand. I was like, I am going to, no matter how long it takes, no matter how much I have to invest, because I've used money as a reason and justification not to do it for no good reason other than that's what I've done. Whatever it takes, I am going to have for the rest of my life a wardrobe full of clothes that I love to wear. Every single one. Every single one. There will not be a piece of clothing in my wardrobe that I don't just fucking adore. And the moment that I'm done and it's no longer there to contribute to me anymore, it's going. So after I made that demand, uninstigated by me, at least with words, Andres' sister, who has a clothing store down in Panama, her store features all of these different Colombian designers. She sent me 5 pieces of clothing, and they are stunning. This shirt is one of them. Like, they fit. The fabric just hugs your body. They take care of me. They are the energy of what I want my life to be. She sent them to me as a gift. And that's the stuff that starts to occur once you're willing to have the energy of what you'd like your life to be. So what makes that come to fruition is cultivating the awareness in yourself. That's it. You just have to cultivate more awareness. And I think it's a few pronged approach. One is doing that clearing 30 times a day for 30 days. And I promise we'll get you a link. You'll see it everywhere. 2 is beginning now, right now where you're at, to start looking at everything for the energy that it is. I'll give you an example, another example. These are Apple. These are Apple AirPods Pro. bought them, I don't know, a week ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that. But prior to that, I wanted them. They were pulling on me. I wanted them. And I'm a pragmatist. I don't need to buy the latest and greatest and the most expensive thing and the newest thing. And like, I actually bought these secondhand off of a Facebook marketplace thing, and I got them for like a third of the price. But before that, because I was, how Google listens to your every move. So I was searching AirPods, and of course I saw a Facebook ad right after that for these knockoff buds. But the ad was really believable. These things were called Pulsar buds. They looked exactly the same. This guy on the thing is showing you like how they perform exactly the same. He's like, I have no idea why Apple charges this much. So I bought 2 pairs. And when I got them, these Pulsar buds, I opened them and they did seem really nice. The thing was, they didn't function very well. The Bluetooth thing didn't work very well. The battery life was shit. And so within about a week, we weren't using them. And I recognized, I'm like, these weren't actually created to take care of you. These were created to devolve so that you would, these were created for a one-time purchase is what it was. So I went back and I looked at having that information now of like, there's things that aren't necessarily created to take care of you. There's things that are created to just make $1. And that was one of those. So having that information, I went back to the AirPods and I looked at that energy and I was like, oh yeah, you'll take care of me. And so I didn't want to buy them brand new. So I went and found them secondhand on Marketplace and actually ran into a really cool humanoid who delivered them to my house, like personally. And it was such a cool experience. But I tell you that because sometimes you won't remember to choose things that care for you, but you'll get the information on the other side. And it's really important to go, oh, I didn't make a mistake, because you didn't make a mistake. You needed that information. But to look at what's different about this, and how do I have more of this energy in my life? How do I have more of the things that care for me around me in my life? I'm doing the same thing with the house. So the house I kind of talked to you about the decorating. So I guess maybe this is looping back into that a little bit, but the decorating came out of this place where we had gotten our house to pretty good, right? Like it was pretty good. It was nice enough. People walked into it and thought it was super nice, which I was like, is it? But it wasn't like that level of pleasure and care that I wanted to have as my life. And I didn't realize that I was just settling for something that was just okay until one day I was bored. This was like 3 or 4 months ago. I was just feeling bored. Now, anytime you're feeling bored, that's a really good sign that you are not actively engaging with what you want to have as your life, okay? So the first question you can ask with boredom is like, what's beyond the boredom? And the second question you can look at is like, am I fully engaging with creating my life, or have I just started maintaining? Because that's what's boring, is we don't like to maintain. So I was bored, and then I looked around, and I'm like, is it that I don't have anything to do or something else? Of course, it was something else. And as I began to engage energetically with the house, every room, I started looking at it I started perceiving it instead of looking at it. And that's when I started to sort of see energetic gaps. It was like, okay, we've gotten this room functional. Is it luxurious? Is it pleasureful? Does it hug you when you walk in? Like all these different things that I love when I walk into different hotels or different rooms, It's like, I love when I walk into a hotel and it just like, it invites me and hugs me simultaneously, right? That's one of my favorite things about going to nice hotels. So am I willing to have that as my life? I've got to be the source of that, right? So I started looking at like the living room. Like, does this room just go, you just walk in and you just want to like, into every corner? Not yet. And it still doesn't, but we're getting there. And as I began to like put my attention on it, I was like, what could I add that would create that sensation? What could I add? So we're starting to add pieces. We added some pillows, and then we added a blanket, and then we changed things around and moved things around. And then we did the same thing in the bedroom. I was looking at the curtain rod in the bedroom, and it's beautiful. It's gold. We put it up today. I ordered 2 panels They're also beautiful, like champagne colored gold thing. But I was looking at the panel hanging there on the side, and I was like, we could just do one panel on each side. I mean, that's what everybody does. But does that give me that sense of richness, that sense of care, that sense of luxury, that sense of pleasure? No. And that's when I realized we need 3 panels on each side to actually create that, right? So when you take money out of the equation and you really start to look at, what do I want my life to be like? You know, what gives me that sense of being cared for financially? How much money would I need coming in on a monthly basis to go, I am luxuriously and lavishly taken care of? What is that amount? And what systems would you have to have in place? Like, I remember when I instituted the Profit First systems into my finances, Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. And I actually opened all those accounts, and I instituted every 2-week paydays for me and everybody else. And every 2 weeks, I like allocate, funds to different accounts. And I started accumulating and having way more money than I'd ever had before. In the beginning, it was intimidating because I agreed to like live on 40% of my income, which was like, oh my God. But I just chose it and I did it. And now, 2 years later, I have money. That is such a luxurious, cared for feeling. So what can you choose to have that in your finances? And then what can you choose to what's going to give you that sense of life and living in terms of travel? Of course, that's very different at this moment, but what is travel for you? And what is your people reality, your people landscape? Are you caring for yourself with what you've chosen with people, or does something need to change? Are you caring for yourself with what you've chosen with your body, or does something need to change? That's the thing, becoming willing to live the energy of what you'd like your life to be so that it can show up for you. And it's not an overnight process. It's the adventure of living. But it does just start somewhere. You just start somewhere. You just start right now. You've got a new choice in every 10 seconds. It's like, fuck it. I'm a gift. We're just going to start somewhere. And in the beginning, there may be like way too many things that need your attention. And that's okay. It's okay to have a backlog. I had a massive backlog. I think it's going to take me another couple of years to really fully handle the backlog I created for myself financially, but it is getting handled. So step by step, it's okay. But you can start. You can start. And so this is your warm invitation to join us in the 30 by 30. Obviously, I don't have a link, so not very helpful, but I promise I'll get it to you. And if you're watching this or listening to this in the future, you can go to theawarennesschallenge.com and you can do it for yourself too. But then also, as that clearing starts to shave away unconsciousness, because that's what it does, and you start to get a deeper sense of what it would take and the energy you'd like your life to be, and the stuff starts to fall away, and what's left is you. Look around your life. Use your house. Use where you're living. Use your wardrobe. There are all these things in your life that you have already that can facilitate greater awareness of energy, of energies that really care for you and energies that really don't. And you can, even use the Marie Kondo method. Does this spark joy? Does this thing care for me? Yes or no? Or am I tolerating it? Right? How many things in your life are you tolerating? And what could you choose that's different? And and choice by choice by choice, you will begin to actualize a totally different reality for yourself, choice by choice. So overwhelm is a typical reaction to a conversation like this, but if you would gift yourself some space this week, start looking around your life, even make big lists if you want to, of all the different things that you might want to change all at the same time. And then just start to ask, where could I start with this? And what would be fun? And, open up a Pinterest account, do the next thing with that. Do the next thing in your business, do the next thing in your office, do the next thing in your wardrobe, and just keep doing the next thing. And maybe even put that as a sign up in your wall, like just keep doing the next thing. What's the next thing today? And little by little by little, your life will start to show you will start to show yourself what it is you want your life to be like. What would it take to be willing to live the energy of what you want your life to be so that it can show up for you in totality? What's the world you want to live in? What's the world you're the source of? It starts here. But you being you is what changes the world. So what is that for you? Let's go find out. See you next week.